All right, we should be good. We should be live. Let me check
Yeah,
the
hi
actual
guys.
channel. Oh man, Jesus Christ! They did it. Well, they freaking did it.
Hmm.
All right, we're live. We're good. I see us. I'm gonna tweet it out.
Great. Hey guys, welcome to this depression.
Yeah. Um. Let me.
We sound good.
We're good. I'm not too loud.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Okay. Um.
God.
Jesus. All right, let me tweet this out and then we good to go.
I thought I would be sad, but I'm just so empty. I'm so depressed.
I'm still trying to process it. Honestly, what's amazing about this
Mm.
is that I have like a. It was even worse seeing it coming, but I have a deeper reaction to this than I did the first time. The first time was shock and awe. This was just straight up depressing. And
I feel
honestly,
sick. I feel
yeah,
sick to my stomach. Like
I feel like that a couple throughout the episode actually.
the whole episode.
All
Even
right.
the deviations were so magnificent. Oh my god. What a
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Jesus, how do I even begin this? All right, guys, welcome to the Dual Shock and Sense podcast channel. This is The Last of Us HBO episode 5 review and breakdown. I'm Macho.
And I'm Wall, and Soul might be joining us later on in a few minutes. We'll see because he's still finishing the episode, but we just finished it, and
Yeah,
it's exactly what we wanted, which is why we're so depressed.
yeah. Jesus, man, it's so hard to even try and get my thoughts together. But yeah. So episode 5 essentially was finishing up the arc with Sam and Henry that more or less started in the last episode, but more or less with Kathleen, leader of the Hunters, along with um, Jeffrey Pierce playing as what's his name? Is his name Pierce in the actual show?
Perry.
Perry is his name. With Perry, so it
Which
start.
awesome. I'm loving
Yeah,
the inclusion of the video game performers as someone.
and they're killing it. They're killing it, man.
They're literally killing the people that they're including. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so episode 5 kind of wraps up everything. Episode 4 was a big setup episode, with
Mhm.
5 being the ultimate payoff. And I guess first time reactions. While finishing the episode, did you think it paid off? Did you expect everything in the episode? And give me what's your first thoughts on it?
First thoughts is that this episode not only was a payoff, but video game fans have we get experience depression in two ways: the events that happen and the implications because of the what's Ellie's fear? End up alone. If you've played part two, this episode will hit like a damn truck. So I am baffled by how incredible this episode was. I will say, however, there's only one thing that stood out that I was like, okay, this it wasn't the strongest part for me. Although I liked the inclusion of this, uh, but I think it's supposed to grow on me. But I think Kathleen, her the way that she carries herself, it took a minute for me to settle because I was like, okay, she's not really being menacing. That was the whole point, that she comes off as this sweet lady, and then she's like, nope, I don't care about anyone. So I'm still, it's still setting in. But oh my god, what an episode! What a depressing ass episode. And like classic Last of Us, you get hope, and then you get hopelessness, and then you get despair, and then you get hope again, and that's the whole thing. You grab hope, and then you hope leaves you. It leaves your entire body. What about you, Macho?
I was dreading this whole week, man,
Mm.
because after the deviations we saw from episode 3, which we all loved here, I was a little worried how they're gonna take the Sam and Henry arc because it's personally one of my favorite arcs in the entire game, and I was really wondering how they're gonna play it up. But
More
uh,
so.
yeah, here he is. You probably can't see him in a live stream right now. I think. Well, so people probably just check the audience to make sure he's actually coming through.
We'll do.
Um, but yeah, just
You hear me?
yeah, just
Yep.
we'll
We
do
hear
audio.
you.
You hear him? Okay, cool. Well, do you hear him on the live stream?
Yeah, I'm waiting for
Okay,
it to catch up.
gotcha. All right, well, cool. I see him. He popped up in the actual YouTube video. But to finish my thoughts here real quick. Yeah, I was enjoying this episode the entire week because of whether it makes some deviations or not. And honestly, they made, in my eyes, they made all the right decisions, all the heartbreaking ones, the setups, the character arcs. This was another perfect episode for me.
Yeah.
So
What do you think? So, what were
yeah,
your
no,
first impressions?
so yeah, so I know you just jumped in, so let us know what's up.
I legitimately like to give you guys like context. Um, episode 1 didn't break me. Episode 2 with Tessa's death it didn't break me. Episode 3, no matter how beautifully a story that was told, that episode didn't break me. Even though I did tear up at like one scene. Um, Episode 4 didn't break me. This was the episode that finally had like full tears just like streaming down my face, man. Like this episode was like just top to bottom. I feel like it just had like everything. Like in
Mhm.
terms of like
Yeah.
just cute moments between two characters bonding, specifically Sam and Ellie. Just every scene with them together was like hit me so hard like that I was not expecting. Specifically the first time when she's showing him the pun book and you just hear him laughing in the background, like for whatever reason that was like one that was the first moment that just like absolutely broke me, man. Like I could not believe it. But yeah, so like moments like that between two characters just bonding. um Having Joel and Henry just sitting down and talking, having Henry kind of explain his situation, right? Um, Getting the explanation of like the paint over Sam's eyes. I think a lot of people were thinking that was like some tribal thing, but then to
Yeah.
find out it's like the whole like it ties into
Superhero.
like the superhero thing too, right?
Mhm.
So it had all those moments. It had the tense moments, the moments that have you like on the literally on the edge of your seat, right? It had the
Mhm.
horror moments of like just going through the tunnels and you not knowing like what's going to happen, and then obviously once the whole nest breaks out of the ground, just how like terrifying of a moment that was. Even though we know, like Joel and Ellie are gonna be fine, like I was still like my heart was like racing during that entire scene.
Yeah. That's
Um,
some World War Z shit there.
yeah. And especially with like the child the, clicker too that
Bro.
was like
Oh
hopping
my
around.
God. That
Right.
was
So
some Dead Space stuff.
it had like the heart racing moments as well, and then just like the absolute like moments where it just like literally just reaches in your chest, rips out your heart, just like crushes it into like like 1,000 tiny pieces. Like it just like really had like it hit like everything in terms of like the emotion spectrum. At least like my emotion spectrum, like it just hit like everything. So this may be like I'm writing off the high because I just finished this episode, but to me this was my favorite episode of the season, like by far.
Interesting. Okay. I will agree that this episode gave me the most emotions like the ratio of emotions like per like every 5 minutes, while Bill and Frank's episode made me like tear up and cry like a lot, but I think it was because I the themes of love there were really well executed for me, like that was conveying more to make me cry than this one. What this one made me feel was absolute despair and depression. Like by the end of the episode I was having fun. I was not anymore. Like I'm not. It, this they did it so well. They did so, and and let's not forget one of the biggest deviations they did, and I think it was a fantastic choice just to add some, I guess whether that be representation or whether that be a little bit of in the word of a story, some flavor to the circumstances. the fact that Sam was deaf really kind of added to the tension and the moments where they were, where they were sneaking around, where they were in the tunnels, where in moments where he was actually having fun and I was kind of scared, like, oh, don't scream too much because they'll hear you. It really added for me a lot to the episode. What do you think, Macho?
I'm still trying to process it. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie,
right.
man.
It's so much.
Yeah.
Well, why are you still trying to process it? Because I wanted to jump in and on
Do
one
it.
thing that he said.
Do it.
No, you go for it, dude. Go for it. I'm trying to like collect myself right now because it was a
Do it,
lot,
Soul.
dude.
So you were talking about deviations, and
Yes.
obviously that's a big one. But where I thought you were gonna go was the whole Ellie saying that her blood like is like medicine, right?
Interesting. Uh-huh.
And for me, like, I'm sure it's, I guess technically it is a deviation because like it wasn't in the OG game. That's a concept that I feel like was never really like touched upon in either of the two games,
What, her
if I'm not
blood?
mistaken. Her blood, her thinking that it could have like some like medicinal like properties or like healing properties or whatever.
Right.
But why I just find that so interesting and why it's such a cool little detail to add is because like I feel like or she knows that it's futile, right? That as soon as she sees that wound, it's over for him. But like to add this one line that like, hey, my blood is medicine. I don't even know if she truly believes that because like I think it was a cool detail to add because it really shows like the desperation that like even though like yeah she has an inkling that it's probably a wrap for Sam, she just like is gonna do whatever she possibly can even if it doesn't make sense. She's gonna do whatever she possibly can to save this kid that she's already bonded with, and that scene was really heartbreaking for me because it's like like baby girl, this isn't gonna work, but like
But does she though?
still.
And that's the thing. I think it's highlighting Ellie's innocence. But for
Right,
now,
right, right,
it's
right.
it's it's highlighting her childlike logic of, oh, 1 + 1 = 2. If I am immune and it's my blood, they're saying my blood is good. Maybe this will help. And it's that inkling of hope that she's holding on to. Because when she gets tackled by Sam, she's shocked. She's in shock and she's crying. So it's not like she wasn't completely believing, but a part of her was like, maybe this could help because I don't know much about even myself. I
and
think
and
it,
like
it
and oh, go ahead.
I think that this is the perfect middle point of the show because it shows the shift from Ellie's, oh yeah, no, it's fun and games, but it's also
That's a
like
good
kind of
point. Yeah.
rough and tough, to the I want to bring myself to the Fireflies to look for a cure.
So this stops. So what happened to Tess doesn't happen again. What happened to Sam doesn't happen again. Like now, exactly as you just said, you could see the shift in Ellie clearly has happened. The
Yep.
Ellie that was in episode 4, I don't think is the Ellie that we're gonna see in episode 6 and
Nope.
and beyond. So I think that's a really really good point. But also to like what you were saying about like um her that she probably does believe this. Like I feel like it's not that big of a stretch to believe that like what if in one of the comics that she reads in her spare time that she saw that this was a thing that like superheroes or something that
Yeah,
they
sci-fi
were
stuff.
right that like oh they do this in comics, like what if it like applies here in the real world, like what if it works here, right? I mean she doesn't
Yeah.
have a lot of like like context to or anything that doesn't say that that wouldn't work, right? So like
She just
yeah,
got in a
that's
car recently. She thinks
exactly.
planes are us world. Like, how is that possible? Her perspective of the world is so, it's something that we might never like truly understand because it's so implausible for us, for us to like, oh wait, a car, like you drive a car every day, but for her it's like, oh wow, no, give me a second, Joel, this is like my second day in a car. Like
Yeah,
her worldview is fascinating, but I think this episode it went from fascinating to, oh no, it just got real. It just got real.
yeah, yeah.
Macho, you good there with your thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say just bouncing off what you guys are saying. I don't really think that it's. I mean, I think it's a little bit of just for innocence and her like
Hope.
her naivety and her hope. But I also think it's because, and I immediately thought the last was part two here.
Mm,
Um,
careful.
yeah, and it's her wanting to feel like her life matters.
Yep.
And so her thinking that her blood is medicine was her way of saying like, well, now I can actually make some sort of difference in someone else's life, considering everything that's happened to her. And but it does come back around to what you guys were saying before, how like this event's gonna change her forever because she didn't save him. So where they go from here, and it's gonna get darker.
Absolutely. I think it'll weigh on her because I think in a way it will. I don't know. Because she will continuously, and we know this from at least the first game. There are a lot of moments where she starts to kind of blame herself for things that she truly has no control over, and this is the ultimate thing. This is the if I don't get my ass to Wyoming, if I don't get my ass to wherever the hospital is or wherever the base or the QZ is, more people are gonna end up like Sam. And she had twice that this episode. She had the child clicker, which was terrifying, and she had Sam as a runner, and then she had to witness Henry unalive himself, which was horrible. Though that whole scene, I feel empty. I need to eat. I do not feel well, guys. I might vomit. I feel horrible. What a scene.
So how do you want to break this down? Do you want to just go through the episode? What should we do?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think this is good what we're doing, man. We're just having like a not necessarily like a structured conversation like we usually do, but just like this feels like a therapy session. Like we're just
Yeah.
getting we're just getting everything out there because we need it. I feel like this is truly like the one episode like where we just need to like spill our guts and just just say like what we're feeling, man.
I got you. Then
Um,
I'll jump in because
Do
well for your what you're talking about with that final scene when Henry shoots himself in the head. I love slash hate slash I'm really depressed by the change in dialogue they did for this time. It wasn't just Henry shooting from the hip and killing Sam and him being that's my brother, that's my freaking brother, man. Like that was heartbreaking too. But for him to like make that snap decision just to shoot him and kill him, and then not even realize what he actually just did.
Yeah,
Oh my
took a moment.
god, dude. Yeah, oh my god. It's so
It was setting
depressing.
in. You could see it
That's
set in his eyes.
I think that's like a really really good point is that like yes like the dialogue is not one for one with what it was in the game, but it
Yeah.
still worked. It still fucking worked, and I think that's really really good, man. I think that just goes to show like sometimes it's not necessarily like what is being said, but like if you can just have like you could just look at the actor's face and like you can get like what they're feeling in that moment. Like sometimes that's more than enough.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
that absolutely worked.
That's why it works as a show. It works as a
And and I loved the and correct me if I'm wrong that they didn't do this in
what?
part one, but the aftermath, burying both of them, right? Because in part one,
He
I
got to
I
fall.
love. I don't get me wrong. I love how they did it in part one. Just like immediately the cut to black, or Ellie saying "Oh my God" and then cut to black, and then you
Yeah.
get the fall. I absolutely love that. But I also love how they did it here, where yeah, we get to see both Ellie and Joel burying Sam and Henry, and then just that last final touch of putting the little writing board on Sam's grave with "I'm sorry," like it's
Whoever
just like
whoever decided to do that's a bastard.
I,
and that goes back to like our earlier point about like
yeah.
the shift happening in Ellie and her now being like now she is like more motivated than ever to get herself to this Firefly's lab or whatever to ensure that this never happens again to people. And I
Mm.
feel like that's really reinforced by that final "I'm sorry" because it's almost like she blames herself for possibly not doing more, or even giving Sam false hope that her blood could have saved him, right? And it ended
Yeah.
up not saving him, right? So like even that, like like thinking about that even more is just like more heartbreaking, man. Like
But
goddamn.
also think about it. She ran on her for herself. Like she protected herself during the infestation outbreak or the nest. She didn't go straight for Henry and Sam. Maybe a part of her is thinking, damn, if I would have saved Sam and Henry, like I had a knife, I had the means, I had, I was out here and about. Maybe if I would have gone to them earlier, he wouldn't have gotten bit. So maybe she's thinking about this whole sequence of events of what could I have done differently to prevent this,
Yeah.
which is going to be a running theme with all the characters, even Joel. Joel is constantly doubting of like if his decisions are correct or not, but he powers through. Which going back to the beginning of the episode, I like that we got more of Sam and Henry's brotherly relationship and how they interact with each other and how, like you mentioned, so the moment with the paint, it wasn't just paint. It was, you could see Henry think, I need to be a big brother right now. I need to inspire Sam. Let me turn him into a superhero and tell him that everything's gonna be all right. Those moments really bring everything just to. It makes that last scene even worse
Yeah.
because it shows that Henry truly did everything he could. He got had the best man he ever knew killed. He fought for his life because Sam had leukemia. He betrayed everyone. He got people killed. He got Kathleen. He got so many people killed to save Sam, and that wasn't enough. And Sam died. Like that man was overwhelmed. I don't in this world, not in reality, but in this world of Last of Us, I don't blame him for doing what he just did because it was just he was just gonna suffer because his purpose, like the last or the prior 2 episodes ago, episode 3, his purpose was gone, and there was no more reason to fight. Unlike Joel, it's interesting because you start to think about Bill and Frank and how Bill made a decision to not continue living because Frank was not going to be there. And look at the difference and how Henry chose that. It's the same situation in the same world, but it's starkly different circumstances. It's so beautiful, but sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Macho, you got anything else to add about this, or should we just jump straight to the goddamn nest of
Oh, the
clickers?
bloater! Talk about
The
that bloater
bloater,
soul.
yeah, yeah,
Talk about that
coming up.
bloater. That introduction.
What do you think, Macho? Should we just get into it?
A little before that, I love the video game scene that we got here of hiding from the sniper.
Yes, sir.
It was a different
was-
time
that
of
was
the day.
unexpected.
Yeah, it was a different time of day, so I wasn't like really expecting it. But then he's like, "Do you trust me?" And then she just silently, like, kind of like nods or just like gives him the approval, and then goes around the back and takes out the sniper. I love that they included that because that's straight from the game. And I got all giddy seeing that. But then
Do you actually have a conversation with the sniper, or do you just off him
You
immediately?
just kill him. He's hiding in a corner. He
Yeah.
puts the sniper like on his chair, and there's a cutscene. Joel walking in, then you get attacked by the sniper in the corner.
Okay.
yeah, it's straight
love-
up video gamey. Yeah.
I love the Joel coming in slowly and just that tense, that almost like not necessarily a Mexican standoff, but kind of where they're both just kind of like watching what the other is gonna do
Like a
next.
cowboy standoff, yeah.
Yeah, and Joel saying like, please don't do it, and the guy does it, and
goes for
Joel,
it.
not like no hesitation, just bang, one in the head, and that's it.
Yeah, I gotta say one thing about that. So, what do you think about Joel's aim now, huh, buddy? Huh?
Oh man.
It's on point. It's on point when he needs it, man.
Listen, man, it's different from a high caliber gun versus a handgun that's like right there.
Well, to be fair, Macho, that was his trusty revolver, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and with the clickers, he was using like with a rifle. So like, I'm gonna cut him some slack, man.
And remember,
Well,
clickers have heightened senses.
well, the thing is now, because remember we talked about episode 4, right? And he lost the rifle.
Right.
Now he has it back. So I wonder if they're actually gonna bring that scene where he gives the rifle to Ellie and said, "Do you make every shot count?" So
Oh, maybe.
that's as soon as they grabbed that rifle, I was like, oh, they got it back, man. They could still do it. But
Yeah,
continue what you're gonna do with the bed of
loaded.
infected.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Joel makes it to the like sniper little second story of the house. Um and Ellie, I love how they framed this because like, you know, Joel is pretty far away and like he's the first one that sees the car. Well, he hears the radio, right? Kathleen's on the radio, and then
Hmm.
he sees the cars coming in and he's like screaming from the top of his lungs to run, but obviously Ellie, Sam, and Henry can't hear him. They eventually do hear the cars and like just that chase of like that whole convoy just like driving through the street, you know, bashing all these cars, like clearing out a path for the other cars to get through. And then just like seeing the shot of like the camera running along Ellie as she's like firing behind her back, right? But obviously none of those shots are hitting. Um, and
They're
then
not doing anything. It's a small gun.
Right, right. And then obviously they hide behind a truck. Kathleen and Henry have a little bit of a standoff. Um, and then and then Joel, you know, he's trying to provide some cover to the three. He manages to hit one of the drivers. Their truck or whatever goes smashing into a house. It causes this big explosion. Fast forward a little bit, and literally just this big nest of clickers, runners, infected, come just like breaking through the ground, and it's just like it's just chaos, dude. It's chaos after that. I I was just on like literally like that meme of like the gamer who's like sits forward in his seat, man. That was me this entire scene, dude. How was it for you guys?
I was grabbing my blanket, man. I was holding it
Oh
up.
man.
I was holding it
Whoa,
up
whoa.
to
Well, I thought he said I was grabbing my balls. I was like, whoa.
Yo.
That's not a stress release, bro. This is not a stress relief. I grabbed my blanket, pulled it all the way up to my chest because I was just so nervous, dude. I got chills like I got from watching World War Z. It was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the approach they're doing with the infected in this show and
They feel
how
scary. They feel scary.
they feel scary and they feel unpredictable. And you can tell they showed up also, my guy, they were rolling with their trucks and everything. They heard that. They followed that through the tunnels. It just so happened and they got there. The reason why our four heroes were not at all in peril with clickers or anything is because they weren't making any noise. They didn't have any clickers in that, you know, in that settlement underground, which in the game you do fend off a lot of runners and clickers. Uh, but it's for the game's sake. I know that in the show it works better as, you know, a little moment of respite. But that, bro, as soon as the truck exploded, I was like, okay, this lighting seems familiar. As soon as it starts to cave down to make a hole, a sinkhole, I was like, oh, I remember this. Oh, the teaser. Oh, this is it. This is it. And as soon as you hear the gurgling and the growling, I'm like, oh, he's here. Bring him. He was playing basketball in the school and he had to walk all the way over here. Oh, bring him in. And we got that little nod to the kill animation in the game. Where
Poor
he-
Jeffrey Pierce, man.
Poor Jeffrey.
Goddamn.
I'm not gonna
No,
lie,
it-
man. I kind of cheered. I was like, I'm sorry, Jeffrey, but like, I kind of cheered at that. I was like, yeah, they did it.
Right?
To that point, if I'm look, man, if I'm an actor who has like a semi like smallish role, if I want to go out, I want to go out that way, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's
For
like
sure.
Sean Bean, man. He knows, he likes definitive ends to his characters. You know it every time. Jeffrey ain't coming back.
Absolutely. I mean, and the fact that he gets taken down by the strongest, you know, so it is like a match, you know, like my lieutenant versus your lieutenant type deal. Or like
Oh, he
my
didn't stand
captain
a
versus
chance,
your-
man. He didn't stand a chance.
No, no one stands a chance against a bloater. They don't have the spots. This ain't Resident Evil. There's no. I think that they've established that unless you have explosives, probably I don't know, because we didn't see the bloater die. He kept on living. I think there's no way to kill a bloater, or no one knows how to. Because I think there's a point where in the game they emphasize how bloaters are rare, like super rare. Like if clickers are rare, bloaters are like one in a thousand or something. So like, I wonder if we do continue the trend of showing the enemies that show up throughout the game, throughout the show, there's gonna be a point where there's like 6 bloaters in one area, and I don't. Joel's not a superhero, you know. I wonder how they're gonna work with that and the whole hive mind. And I wonder, does he control them? Because wherever he moved, like it did seem like the group like kind of moved alongside with him. I wonder if they have like the hive mentality or the hive mind of the parasite has like a hierarchy going on.
Yeah, it might be like an alpha thing, you know?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, like I assume the bloater has been around for since the outbreak. So what makes a bloater? I wonder if they'll talk about it because they did talk about the clickers. But I love that whole scene and the fighting, the Ellie crawling through the ground, and oh my god, that whole scene and Joel protecting her. I'm like, don't blow her head off. I know she's not gonna die, but oh my god, I am grabbing to my testicles. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. But also, like, correct me if I'm wrong. This better not become a thing, guys. This better not be. But like, correct
Wall
me if
grabbing?
I'm. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. But so like when after Ellie got out of the car with the like little baby clicker, it looked like she like because she notices that Sam and Henry are like under the truck, being swarmed by clickers. She like makes eye contact with Joel as if like Joel clearly just wants her to run to him so they could get the hell out of here, right? I don't think he really cares about like like obviously his top priority is Ellie, right? So like in that moment when she makes eye contact with Joel, I feel like in his mind he was like, "Don't do it, don't do it." Almost like forcing his hand. So Ellie runs over to them. He's like, "God damn it! All right, we'll get them." So I don't know. I really really like that moment, just like her making that eye contact. Like, yes, Joel, we have to go back for them. And it almost felt like that in God of War 2018 when Sindri was being attacked by that dragon and Kratos and Atreus are like having that standoff and Atreus is like, we have to help him. And Kratos is just like looking at him. He's like, all right, you break right and I'll go this way or whatever. So like it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
felt reminiscent of that scene and I don't know, I really really loved it.
Yeah, no, it highlights the how their relationship continues to amplify and become, and they continue to build rapport. And I also enjoy the fact that this Joel is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall scenes in the game where that Joel was a bit more like unreasonable with when Ellie wanted to protect herself. Like when he found out about the gun and how she used it to protect him last episode, the way that he reacted of, okay, this is how you use it, this is what you do next time. He wasn't as stern, he was like more understanding. I might be recalling a different Joel, but this felt better than what I had in mind or what I would have expected from Joel, because Joel was a hard ass in the game. This Joel doesn't feel as much as a hard ass. This feels more human and more real. Like he actually wants to trust someone, and Ellie is trying everything in her power to kind of push him, because he needs that push, and she is the spark that ignites him in order to become, because she knows what he's capable of. Everyone knows what Joel's a one-man army, which everyone watching the show will know eventually.
I mean that's what me and Macho were talking about last episode. With I mean what the gun specifically is that
Yeah.
like in versus the game when Joel's getting drowned by that one bandit or whatever,
Yeah.
and Ellie shoots the guy and saves his life. Joel gets pissed at her. He's like,
Yep.
I'm just glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid, right?
It felt
Um,
more tropey. It felt like more predictable of what you would expect from that archetype of Joel. But I think in this one, I don't know, maybe Neil was like, hey, I'm more nuanced now. Hey, I have experience, more experience. Hey,
Like I was telling Macho that like that never really made sense to me. Like this
Yeah.
girl just saved your life, right? So and I think in the show, yeah, they handled that moment far better. Like he was far more like, he definitely like looked at her with like a side eye,
Yeah.
like initially, but then like immediately like recognized like okay, like this girl, I would not be here if it wasn't for this girl, right? So. I like how and like to you bringing up Neil, like that's the sort of advantage that he has about like he's a different writer than he was back in like that game came out in 2013, so I'm sure it's got to be so cool to have like what is it, hindsight, to kind of like look back at that story that you wrote almost 10 years ago and be like, man, dude, today I would have handled that moment back then a little bit differently, right? So that's got to be
Sure.
pretty
Oh
cool
yeah,
for him.
they already hinted at it before in the behind the scenes right after the episode where Craig actually brought up the idea of Sam being deaf, and then Neil's like, "Damn it, why didn't I think of that? That's really good."
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
true because like making Sam deaf was the best change because that meant he could rely on Henry a lot more, and that bond is even stronger. I mean, you pointed out to the sentimental moments before, so like look how strong that was of Henry um, sort of nurturing Sam when Sam guessed that Henry was scared at the beginning of the episode and giving him crayons to draw and just trying to have this courageousness about him and just really trying to be the bigger brother. And just to see that relationship kind of ebb and weave throughout the episode was so beautiful and heartbreaking, dude. Because I had a feel we all knew as game fans, we all knew where it was gonna go. So just to see it kind of happen in real time and see the relationship flesh out even more was just it was much needed. I can't believe that they pulled it off, man.
And
Oh, go ahead.
oh, and real quick, Macho, to that point of making him deaf and how Neil thought, why didn't I think about that? I think as a writer, it pushes you out of your comfort zone of developing a scene between two verbally, expressive people. And I think this makes it where that scene with Ellie and Sam in the room where, he was gonna go to sleep, it made it more peaceful, more serene, a bit more intimate because it was, I don't know, there was like a trust between the two. And him having to convey his ideas and his questions, are you still you inside when you're a monster type deal? Like in a verbal situation, yeah, they could just say the line and it would be a great performance. But I think this pushed it a bit more because you're working with a visual aid plus the actor having to portray the feeling that this sentence is trying to, you know, to 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 describe, and Ellie kind of putting the pieces together. I don't know. I think as a writer, they are really pushing themselves to be creative and be, think outside of the box a bit more.
I'm glad that you brought up the word intimate because like I didn't know like how to like properly describe why that change worked for, and I like Sam in both games, but
Yeah.
like for I just felt like when like I was way more into those scenes whenever he was, writing things down because it's like those scenes like have to like breathe in order to give him enough time to, write those things down. So it's like it's almost like the opposite of, or I don't know if the opposite is the right word, but like how
Mhm.
we've all felt sort of on the edge of our seat during the whole bloater and the whole, clickers running around, firefight scene.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with Sam whenever he has a scene and he's having a conversation with Henry, or he's writing something down and having a back and forth conversation with Ellie. Like we're there in the scene, like waiting for the whole thing play out, and like we're okay with that. Like we're okay with how no matter how long it takes, right?
Yeah, we're paying
Um,
attention. We're focused.
exactly. We're right there. We're paying attention to like again, like no matter how long it takes him, we're there because we want to know what he's gonna say. Um, and I don't think you would have that. I mean, sure, you would definitely have that if he spoke, but I don't know. I think it definitely added it a little bit like an extra layer here, and I'm glad that it wasn't just
Yeah.
like because like a lot of things with this, especially like when you're adding like a black character or you're adding an LGBTQ character or whatever, it can
Yeah.
sometimes feel like we're just like checking off the quota or whatever, or that kind of thing, or
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
having the
The
token
checklist.
black, yeah, we're having the token black character, or we're having the token whatever, and it didn't feel like that at all. It felt like like Sam wasn't necessarily defined by that, but I don't know. It's still like he still brought something regardless of his disability, and I thought it was handled really really well. So I appreciated that for sure.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
love the extra character they gave him because to be honest, I like this Sam more than the game, honestly.
Dude, yes, okay, you said it. Okay, I was waiting for someone to say it.
Well,
I agree.
Because Sam, and well, can we agree on like Sam was pretty like I understandably was mopey in the game.
He was annoying. Yeah, he was annoying. You can say it. He was
Annoying.
annoying.
Yeah, I wouldn't say annoying. I think he was just mopey to the point where I was just like, okay. But in the show, man, again, the fact that he was deaf didn't define him. It was really just the actor himself that portrayed like this innocence and like the Super Sam kind of persona that he created, just to have like this sort of hope for himself and for his brother, was just really endearing. And he was a cute kid too. Like he was playing with Ellie. They were playing soccer and everything. They were actually going over the Starlight comic book. Was it Starlight, right? That's what it's called.
Um,
Something like
I
that.
I think
forget.
so. Like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Something star.
having that connection with the comic book there too, which is a nice little eggnog, nice little Easter egg,
Eggnog, yeah.
yeah, nice little Easter egg for the game. Yeah,
Savage Starlight.
that's what it was. Savage Starlight. Thank you, Walt. Yeah, all these little characterizations they did throughout the episode really made it for me, and including just those really serious moments, especially the last scene with him and Ellie, which is really really well done. Yeah, man, I don't know what else to say other than like the fact that like I was, again, to me this is like a perfect episode. I loved it from through and through.
Yeah. I will. One more thing that I think this might be the last thing I point out that really, really conveys the vibe of the world, if for lack of a better word. The fact that Kathleen was the one that survived, and she was not the nice one. And it goes to show that this is a world where you're not rewarded for how good or kind you are, but how ruthless you are. And I think highlighting her saying, oh, he was, he was the one that told me to forgive them. And no, I'm not going to do that. How does that make sense? How is there justice in that? I think that's perfect now, because what comes after, we've been since episode 1. Oh, Sam and Henry. Nah, I'm on a new train, y'all. David. When we get to David, that's when shit hits the fan. That's when you're gonna see some development. Oh, baby.
Guys, I also just realized it's like the whole Ellie, saying that her blood was like medicine for Sam or whatever. This just registered with me just now that also Sam was like, stay awake with me. Basically so he wouldn't be alone when or if he turns into a monster. Like, god damn, dude.
Oh.
This episode.
Depressing. This episode is not happy.
Yeah. Well, I want to jump off your Kathleen point too, because that was the one thing I wanted to bring up as well. Where so we finally got a little bit more background on Kathleen and her brother and sort of their mindset when it came to actually navigating this post-apocalyptic world. And I thought it was very poetic that she sort of described herself as kind of like not the chaos child, but the one that saw a little bit more dark in the world than her brother. And I thought it was really poetic how a little girl clicker was the one to take her out.
When she said she did it, she said, "Oh, kids die all the time." When she got
That too.
mauled and got slapped by the kid, I was like, "Yeah, kids die all the time. Look at this kid. Yeah, beat her ass."
I saw that as like, again, poetic justice of the fact that, one, what you just said, well, like kids die all the time, but also because she said she was a little asshole when she was a kid, so she gets mauled by a little girl clicker, which by the way was absolutely frightening. Just squirming in the car. Like, what the hell,
guys?
dude?
When she got in the car and she did that little cartwheel inside, that she went like, she like flipped. She like got in all like a kid. I was like, don't do that to me.
I want to know if that's a real person. I want to know.
The way I can't describe, like almost like something out of like, I don't know, like Evil Within, like the way that shit,
Like
her
that
body.
space shit, bro.
Yeah, like what are they called? Not the xenomorphs, but
Necromorphs.
yeah, like the way her body was like twitching and like her limbs and joints were all messed up. Yeah. God damn, dude.
It reminded me, there is a baby necromorph in the Dead Space games, and it looks exactly like that kid.
It literally moves like how cats move sometimes when they don't got any bones and when they act like they don't got bones.
Like they made a rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was absolutely
No.
beside myself just seeing that. That was awesome, man. Oh my god, that
It's also
entire that entire scene was amazing.
do you guys agree with this? But like I feel like the clickers are like way more aggressive in this than the games, man.
I
Uh
think it's to for me real quick. I think it's to highlight it's more real. It's more grounded. I think mind you. The cordyceps is real. It does take over bodies, just not ours because of circumstance. But I think that a monster that is dependent on sound and is essentially dead, being taken over, and is so primal and so ravaging. I think this one makes more sense to be more violent for the sake of a show as well, because it also highlights just how careful they have to be. Because in a game, you need game, you need moments where it's like, oh, hordes of them, kill them all. But I don't know. For me, it's like the medium. It serves the medium. What do you think, Macho?
yeah, I think well in the show they thought about it way more strategically and I think more
Mm,
smart because in the game itself it has to be possible for you to win somehow, right? So
yeah,
they have these runners and these clickers a little bit more spread out, and in some cases where it's a challenge to put them closer together. But in this
yeah,
one, they really do act like a hive mind, which is what the cordyceps does, right? The cordyceps immediately finds a next target to infect so they can stay alive, and that's what the runners and everything else is doing here. So the fact that they just buried them all under there didn't help them. First of all, it may have
nope.
stalled the danger, but it did not help them because it only made them stronger, probably, which is like even scary to think about, right? Because as soon as they jump out of there, no one's gonna come out of it alive, and you're very lucky.
Like Ellie, and I think that in terms of how aggressive they are, I think the fact that in the game you have stealth. Stealth is a mechanic in the game, and you need to be able to kill a clicker with a shiv and then hide and then wait and then kill another one and then hide. In the show, that doesn't exist. You need to be careful or you're dead. There's no meter. There's no, I think that was just the wind. No, 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 no. You need to be perfect. That's why Joel, and they keep highlighting Joel. Joel, you're a menace, and the guy is capable. Look at the reason why Henry paired up with them is because they also heard, oh, you took down two like you survived an attack from two clickers. That you're the real deal. That's how strong they are. So the fact that we even got to see a bloater, like Joel would have run away. Ain't no way we're foolish in the game and we fight the bloater.
Yeah, we go
Because
to the shotgun and everything,
yeah,
just
no,
act like assholes.
you get super close and you start putting nail bombs around him. And it's like, yeah, try and get me. Put some Molotovs on him. Joel ain't gonna do that. Joel's gonna run.
Also, I feel like they're really like emphasizing that this man's got like joint problems, man. Because I felt like when you saw him running, he's got like a little limp. Like I don't know if you guys noticed
He's
that.
No,
But
I
he's,
know it.
56.
Yeah, I know it. He
He's
saw
56.
when
He's been through a lot.
when he went inside the building. He had to catch his breath for a little bit. Did you see that?
that too, yeah. I was like, God damn.
He's
Man,
56, man. This world. I think that's one thing. Now you mention it, so I think that alongside how they portray Tess and how she was like, you could notice on her face that she's been through some stuff. Like versus what how Macho had said that the Tess in the game, she looked like she just got she just got her hair done and all these things. In the show, they truly highlight how this world absorbs your humanity and it will like absorb you out of anything that you have that resembles like humanity or peace or hope. It will drain you dry, and I think that's what they're highlighting. Because even Jeffrey, the Perry, the lieutenant or whatever, he didn't look happy. Like everyone is miserable except Kathleen. Kathleen seems to enjoy the inflicting misery. So she seemed like she had like a skincare routine and everything going on. But everyone else, nah, bro. Nah, it's a dog eat dog world. And Joel got them joints. Listen, he's a smuggler, man. He has to crawl through a lot of spaces. Those there's no pills. No. There's jerky. But that shit doesn't clear you.
What? So what's this man talking about?
I lost him, man. I lost him.
Jerky, beef jerky, dry jerky, food. What they were eating in like episode 2.
They're funny, man.
You hungry or something, Walt? You hungry?
Yeah,
I
probably.
mean, yeah.
But I mean, yeah. What else is there really to talk about?
I mean, I love Bella Ramsey, dude. She killed it this episode again. She's doing it again. Every scene she's in is just.
She kept getting away with it.
She's just such a great job throughout the entire episode because honestly, I think this was as important an episode for her as it was for Joel. Probably more so because of her interaction with Sam and everything. Because in this instance, Ellie is our window to sort of that bridging that relationship between Henry, Sam, and Joel. So, again, just the way she just conveyed every line and her mannerisms, and to the ending scene, then her complete shock and awe of what happens to Sam is like, oh my gosh, she killed it, man. I can't even imagine her in her trailer. She must have been just done for the day.
And her just sitting there, like, with just like tears, like just rolling down her face, like not saying anything. Like,
Thank God, Shad. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good scene.
That adds to it. Or that's the beauty of live action is that you show, don't, and there's a lot of that in this one. And while in the video game, the remake does that a lot better. Part 1, I think that they really took. You can notice how this feels like part 2 writers more than it does part 1 writers, if that makes sense. And I think the tone of the show has shifted indefinitely. Like it's permanently been shifted, and things will not be the same anymore. I think now unless they add stuff in the middle, now we're gonna be in a forest and we're gonna be coming up to a dam, right?
Well, no, I think the next episode teaser was Wyoming, wasn't it? Isn't it the settlement where? Yeah. So I think we're just gonna probably jump straight to that and then see where it goes.
Go to Jackson, Macho. Everyone has left me, fucking except for you. Oh my God, are we getting to that, Soul?
Oh
my God. Oh my God.
Well, we have to get that, and then there's a school, so we'll see where that.
Oh, don't talk about the college. No.
Yeah.
Oh, the pipe.
The monkeys.
My man gets piped up.
Hey, what are we talking about?
No, like the Joel and
man, both of y'all are sus right now. Soul's talking about balls. Walt's talking about getting piped. Like, like, come on, man. We're supposed to be.
Hey, bring the gabagoo. Hey, Joe. What's the quote of the day, Joe?
Oh, jeez.
Anything else, Soul?
I mean, I'm good, man. I thought closing thoughts, man. I just thought that, yeah, out of the 5 episodes, this one was my favorite by far, man. Just in terms of like, and all these episodes have been great. Like we're arguing like 9 to like 10 out of 10 episodes all here, but like
And
just
viewership keeps going up.
yeah, let's hope that it does for this episode too. But like in terms of just like watching something that made me feel something, this
Spider-Noir.
this episode just succeeded in like just like again, I said this earlier, but just like everywhere on the emotion spectrum, like this episode just made me feel like everything in 60 minutes, man. It's 60 minutes to make for this episode to make me feel, to make me laugh, to make me scared, to make me feel tense, to make me feel like I didn't know what was gonna happen next, to have me actually sobbing, to have like legit tears rolling down my
vomiting.
face.
Yeah.
Like when's the last time that's happened? You know, so like
I don't know. We don't know your life.
yeah.
It's been a long time, right? So it's been a long time.
Soul doesn't cry. He's like Spider-Noir. He lets the match burn into his fingertips just so he can feel something.
But yeah, man, this episode was incredible. My favorite so far of the season. What about you guys? What's your closing thoughts?
From planes falling from the sky to tendrils kissing to Nick Offerman's back shots to
Jesus Christ.
to,
This.
to, to this, bro. Every single episode has been a hit. This is the video game adaptation that people should look at and say, I guess we should try to make something that represents our product and not just make fuck all. I cannot wait for, what is this, Ep 5, right? So we got 4 more episodes, or is it 3 more?
No, 4.
4 more. All right, we got 4 more episodes. I think that makes sense. Yeah. Jackson. Yeah. No, that's it. Because we're also tackling Left Behind. I think we're getting close to that. We're gonna get close to.
Episode 7 is literally called Left Behind.
There we go. So just before, rest in, the hospital. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna get some of the best DLC content in show form ever. I cannot wait, man. Cannot wait to get hope back and get it ripped back. I love this show. It gets me hope and it rips it back up. What do you think, Macho? What are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, this was, again, a perfect episode. Everything from the performances to the pacing. I think Walt and Soul, you guys put it, both beautifully, that this was just a compact episode that was full of action and terror and fun and scared and apprehension and anxiety. Like what a wide range of emotions and in such a short amount of time that by the end of it, I was feeling empty and depressed. And unfortunately, what Ellie fears alone. So I'm glad we had this therapy session because it was much needed before I drift off into dreamland.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
So yeah, I mean, that's gonna close it up for us. Thank you everyone who tuned in live or after the fact for this little post-show discussion on episode 5 of The Last of Us. Please tune in tomorrow, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, for our podcast. We might talk a little bit more about the episode. We may not. Who knows? But yeah, we'll be talking about whatever the hell happened this past week in the gaming industry.
Nintendo Direct, y'all. We'll talk about that direct.
Oh, true. I did not watch that.
So it's gonna be the Walt. It's gonna be the Walt and Macho podcast, basically. So you say.
Yeah, man. Great post-show discussion. We will be back doing episode 6 next week, possibly after Sunday night. Who knows? We'll obviously keep you guys informed. But yeah, let's get started with these outros. Macho. I usually say what you got going on this week, but like we're gonna see you tomorrow, so like you don't need to do that.
No, but I just want to say the next episode of The Last of Us is February 19th. I don't think it's this Sunday because of Super Bowl. So.
Oh yeah.
So just FYI, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So that'll be 2. They did well. That's 2 weeks to recover from this. So.
Yeah.
I mean, as for me, yeah, I'll be anticipating it, and I'm gonna be going through the actual game. So we'll see how depressed I am by the time we come back. How about you, so?
I'm good. I got my crying out, so
That's good.
All right.
He hit his quota.
Yeah. I won't be crying again until
Next year?
maybe June.
until he gets married.
So, dude, imagine.
Hell no. Hell no. What do I look like to you?
Like a betrothed? I don't know.
But anyway, we will catch you guys tomorrow for episode 90, I believe, of the DualShock and Sense podcast. Until then,